maybe that'll help a little bit. I closed the window. So basically, we've never been a free civilization before. We've always had some kind of control over us. And how we got here is basically everybody's sick of it. Everybody's tired of, I mean, listen to your own complaints, you know. Listen to yourselves, how you're tired of people telling you what to do, you know. Well, we're at a place now where you don't have to have anybody tell you what to do. And the way to really constructively move forward is to go within and know yourself, know thyself, so you can move forward. I mean, we're so geared to being followers, and we need teachers, we need to listen, and we need to take what resonates and then leave the rest, we're not going to, everything we hear might not resonate, for you completely across the board. But take the good and leave the bad is what I say, because it's all going to be very individual. Our paths are all going to be so different because we're very different creatures, each of us. Even though the heartbeat within our heart is all the same, our choices are going to be different because the way we perceive and the way we interpret so many things is going to be different than what other people might like or not like. And so that's really what Heaven on Earth is about, isn't it? It's about you creating your own happiness and respecting one another on what they have chose. And maybe it's not what you would choose, but it's okay. It's not your world. You can have your own world and choose what you want to do. But still, at the same time, we all have to function together as a civilization. And it doesn't have to be chaotic. It doesn't have to be angry. It doesn't have to have these kind of vibrations in it at all. It can have it be a universal love of being okay with it, and what will happen, with these really toxic, vibrations that are really causing damage and really doing damage. Source will deal with them. They're not going to be able to last in this vibrational frequency. If they're doing something that's really hurting the collective and hurting the overall, vibration and frequency of the planet, they won't be able to survive long here at all because it's rising. And those that are, wanting a better life and wanting to live a more peaceful life will be rising. And so the healing of the planet, all the things that are messed up on this planet will be healing. The global warming, back to that, to, I always focus on a lot of the things like, the waste management, basically because, Earth right now has to work really hard at breaking and composting that stuff down. And it's massive amounts of trash that we throw away because of our packaging and that kind of thing. And like I said, there's so much already advancements. There's so many people already out there, really smart people that are creating all kinds of environmental things that are safe for the environment, biodegradables, things that are much easier. Of course, this has been going on for many years, but it's getting even more so. I mean, we have trash cans now that actually turn your trash into dirt. And I saw it online. I thought it was just amazing. There's communities rising up. That's what I'm saying. We know what to do. You're already doing it. There's people in the field cleaning up the ocean. There's people in the field going into other countries and helping with the water systems there. I know there's a big cry still for the poor and the hungry and the ones that are sick. And, you know, I don't, I don't, I don't complain about that in the sense of giving to that kind of need. But what I do complain about is the exposing of and exploiting these children's suffering for money. That's just wrong. And I know, you know, they put these children on there that are suffering and then begging for money, and it's like that is just wrong. I'm sorry. Is And the problem is a lot of that money, where is it really going? Do we really know where it's going? I used to give a lot of money before I even started, you know, going on my journey. I gave a lot of my money and found out later there were so many deceptions. It wasn't even getting to the poor. It wasn't even getting to where it was needing to go. And these are areas we need to clean up. I mean, these are, you know, portals that we're sending, you know, energy into that is not arriving at our destiny, you know, the destination it was, you know, meant to, you know, arrive at. So a lot of corrupt, you know, a lot of corruption that stops it, you know, that skims off the top, that skims the pot, so to speak, that is supposed to be going to the needy is not getting to the needy, and so they keep asking for more and more and more. The real problem that could be solved, and I believe this is something that, you know, will definitely be happening as we evolve and move into, you know, new earth and it becomes more developed, is to move into these areas of poverty and disease and start building sustainable, you know, cities or, you know, villages, greenhouses that will be able to provide, you know, irrigation systems, you know, and teaching them how to, you know, take care of themselves so they can have their own self-pride in being able to take care of their families and be able to take care of each other and take care of their children without the aid of outside help. Not that, you know, that aid can't be coming. The people that have more than enough, you know, of course, if they want to give, they're free to give. But it's just the idea of building up those areas that have never been a chance to have been built up to really sustain themselves, that have been struggling for so long. I mean, it's unheard of. And why? There's no reason why. I mean, they say it's basically the environmental, but I mean, there's so many things you can do to build the environment up. And Earth is always regenerating energy, and a lot of it's vibration too. You know, if you constantly look at the negativity in an area and you constantly call it a poor area, it's going to stay a poor area. But when you see that there's resources there that can be built up, and you see possibilities, and you start looking at things from a different viewpoint, you can see it growing. You can visualize it growing. It's manifesting, you know, abundance in that area. And these people need to be taught that. You know, the people in those, and it's hard. It's hard when you see your child suffering from a disease, or, you know, you're starving, or you're, you know, thirsty, or all the suffering that goes there. It's really hard to look at something that would be positive, but it has to start somewhere. You know, as you build up, just start seeing. I saw one advertisement online where it had this tribe, and they were all dancing and singing, and they were all in these beautiful clothes, and they were jumping up and down, and they were singing in their language, and you could just feel the vibration rising, and I was just in tears, just of joy, just watching them, because it was like I could feel their happiness was bringing so much life to their area. And that's what it's going to take, you know. It's going to take that kind of vibration. A lot of the indigenous already know that, but because people are always pitying those areas, and it's like you keep them stagnated in those vibrational areas, when you realize that the same love that's in your heart is in their heart, we can develop those areas. And it's a whole different perspective. People want like an instant gratification, and sometimes it doesn't come that instant. Sometimes it's going to take some work, and that's why it's called the journey, because it doesn't happen overnight. It is a process. This isn't going to happen overnight. This is something that is just going to be ongoing for many, many moons. And the frequencies coming in, the energy from the galactics are here. They're here to help raise. The more we think positive, it's like they're doubling up on it. They're helping us in any way they can with their energetic frequency for their higher intelligences. They're here and they're everywhere, and you can't see them unless you're in a higher elevation of consciousness. But if you're fixed on just the material world, it's this world is so much more than that. And that's been the problem, is we've been in idol worship of the materialism, and we have forgotten that there's a bigger source than just what is here materially. There's so much more that is available to us, but we've just been so fixated on what we can touch, what we can feel, what we can taste, what we can hear. And it's so much more than that. And that's why going within and knowing your higher self, which is your spirit man within you, that's the part of you that lives forever. That's the true you. Because when your body is over and your body is no longer here, your spirit's still moving. Your spirit's still here living. Or it's living, moving on to other dimensions, other realms. So I think it's just, kind of really important to understand that this is not a punishment. This is, people, I think that somebody's trying to control you. No, we're giving you the chance, Source is giving you the chance to control yourself, giving you the chance to make your own decisions, giving you a chance to be free for the first time. It's what you've been praying for. It's what you've been crying for. And much is going to change. Much of the monetary, much of the provision, already it's changing. And I don't know how it's going to change. I know that the more we press into the higher way of being, the more it's going to all just come into play. I don't think it's going to change in the way. I think we're going to keep living our lives to the best of our ability and doing the best we can to love one another to the best of our ability. But that's what it's all about, That's what it's all about, is us doing better as a society and less condemning of one another and learning how to walk away instead of getting angry. There's learning how to be more diligent than being slothful, and a lot of people think that it's all about just working the 9 to 5. That's what we've been taught, is to get out there. Sometimes working is sitting at home and going within and writing down things in your journal, writing things, praying, meditating. That's diligence too, doing the inner work, understanding why you respond the way you do to certain things, comments that are said, things that might be hurtful. So ready to be on the defense instead of learning to allow people to say what they say, and if you don't agree, learning to let it go. It's not yours. It doesn't belong to you. If you don't understand it, if it doesn't feed your soul, then let it go. We don't label this anything. And I'm just a voice. I'm not anything, that's, I've made it to the other side. That's about the only thing. I know the voice is Source, but that doesn't make me, invincible. I still am here in this world, and I'm just a voice. So basically, take what you can understand and what you don't understand. It's okay. You know, there's so many people that are still, you know, they're self-medicating however they can self-medicate because it's really hard. And there's some people just now coming online and, you know, coming into this that it's so new to. And there's going to be different phases coming in where some people are going to be already in the higher consciousness and so everybody that makes it through, that, you know, gets into this place of bliss, you know, the wider the portal will open and make it easier for the next phase to come through. If they're open to it, if they don't have fear, and if they're open to change. I mean, we've been afraid for so long. I mean, I was talking to a guy on the beach, and he was saying that was one of his greatest, you know, one of his greatest problems was fear. You know, how do you get rid of the fear? By going within and figure out where does that fear stem from. A lot of it's our upbringing. A lot of it's our own self-condemnation, or the way things that were said to us as small children. We're very, you know, when you're a child, you're very impressionable. And there's things that have been said to us when we were young that, you know, have really influenced the way we respond and the way we respond to one another and we respond to our own self. And so these are areas of healing that we need to, you know, address. And no one can do it but you. And there's no right or wrong way of doing it. So just take it slow, you know. And if you don't want to do it, don't do it. You'll do it in time. You'll do it when it's time to do it, you know. So that's the main thing is, you know, a lot of people think that, you know, there's, you know, a big rush to this thing. And I think the only thing that, you know, the higher ups have been saying to me basically is the less that you deal with it, the more pain you'll be in. So you'll be in these lower consciousnesses of torment, because the higher the frequency is that is around us, the harder it's going to be for those that haven't risen, because they're going to feel a lot more, the condemnation on themselves is going to feel a lot more heavier, even though nothing's really going on. It's your own, it's the own frequency that you're holding. And so that's why we always say be kind to yourself, you know, because what happens is we fight for our own limitations. We think we can't do it, but it's always been there within you to do it. You just have to tap into it, and tapping into it means to go within. So I think the biggest thing I'm trying to convey on this video is that we can't be looking on the outside of ourselves. We need to, you know, stay in our own lane and look at our own selves. And if you see, I mean, it's hard because we're lonely. We're not used to this. We're used to being, you know, giving advice to each other. And it's nothing wrong with getting advice from each other. It's just not all the advice is going to, you know, pertain to you. And you may try to take their advice. It might sound right, and it might sound like the thing you need to do because you don't know what to do because you haven't done the inner work to find out who you are. So we're so desperate to hear it from someone else, you know, what are we supposed to be doing? And so you grab onto someone else's, you know, journey and think, okay, that's what I need to be doing because they're doing so well, but maybe it's not for you, you know. And so that's something you need to really think about, is by the time you follow someone and you do everything they say to do and you get there, you know, you realize, hey, this doesn't really make me happy anyways. What, you know? So that's why I think finding yourself is really important, because we're all unique and we're all beautiful and we're all right in our own right. Because Source lives in each of our hearts. It doesn't mean we're all identical in the way we're going to, you know, transpose this thing and way it's going to be, you know, brought through, you know, as far as deliverance into our interpretation. But it's going to be beautiful for each of us. So I just encourage you for that. Okay? I don't know. I think that's basically everything that Source wanted me to kind of just convey. I was seeing people online, and I'm open to questions. I know there might be some explicit questions out there, and I've told people they can email me at bellaluna 369 at gmail.com. It's also on my I don't have a website or anything like that. I just, it's all going to come in due time. If I'm meant to have one, I'll have one. And I'm just kind of working on some things with Source directly that, is just my own personal journey. And so, but I am open. I'd like to hear. Really, I'm just going online. I'm listening to where people are at. Some people are sailing through this. Some people are really on cloud nine already, just madly in love with the universe, madly in love with the frequency, the higher frequencies, and just sailing. Some are really zooming. Some are doing some amazing things. There's a lot of people that are coming online. There's communities trying to be built. There's things going on. I just really encourage you to make sure you lay it on the foundation of unconditional love. That's the only strong message I've gotten from Source, is whatever we build is to make sure that it's built on unconditional love, or it won't last. It just won't. And that's not my rule. It's just not. It's been a rule for many, many, many generations, many years, many millenniums, and we've tried over and over again, and it's always crumbled. So, rebuilding and all the work you put into it isn't really worth it unless you build it on unconditional love. So I really encourage you to go within and do your inner healing so that you can rebuild on this, foundation of unconditional love. Unconditional love for yourself and then for others, because it says really the only real commandment there is out there, and you can put in all your other dogma behind it, but the only real commandment that's out there is to love one another as you love yourself. And how do you love one another as you love yourself? If you don't love yourself, you don't know how. And so many of us have tried to move into this loving of one another by doing all these good things, but they're just good actions. They're not really from the heart. We're doing it because it's the thing to do. It's because we're following one another again. So once you really love yourself, you understand that how to truly love one another unconditionally. And so it's really important, and it comes, like I said, it comes off looking very selfish because you're spending all the time on yourself, giving yourself all the energy, healing yourself, dealing with, your own inner healing. And so it comes off looking really, selfish to others. But until you heal, it's all a facade, So, and it gets lonely, I mean, for me anymore, I'm not lonely. I mean, I'm alone, but I'm not lonely. I've got so many of spiritual beings around me constantly. I never feel alone. I mean, I'm always having conversation and always being taught something. So, but in this material world, yeah, it looks like it, and that's what we're all used to. And eventually we'll all get to a frequency where we'll be together again, and it'll be amazing, where we can all be in the higher consciousness and understand one another easier. Because I know some of this is going to be rough for some of you, and so just like I said, be kind to you, be easy on yourself. Don't beat yourself up with, anything that you enjoy doing. You need to be doing stuff to self-soothe. That's the main thing, is a lot of this stuff can be done on an unconscious level. You don't even really have to do much. Just try to remain in a happy state, try to remain in a state of peace. And like I said, I'm not pushing cigarettes, and I'm not pushing smoking, pot or anything like that. I do want to express about drugs. I think we need to talk about drugs because I think people that are just coming online, or people that are really from the old school, think, this journey is just for a bunch of, drug addicts, or ex-drug addicts or whatever. And it's really not like that at all, because if you think about it, your pharmaceutical, medication that you take are drugs too. And just because they're legal doesn't mean they're not drugs. They also are very addictive. In fact, I've known people that have been over-drugged and over-medicated and have died from pharmaceutical drugs. And I'm sure there's many of you that know that too. So I think drugs are drugs. And if you think about the pharmaceutical medicine that has been developed, they all come from the natural. They all come from Mother Nature. They all come from Gaia. So, I mean, all your drugs like, Xanax and pretty much anything that helps with pain has the opioids in it. So it comes from the opium plant, so it comes from nature. But they won't give nature that credit. They've souped it up with chemicals and other things. They've taken the derivative, of the natural plants, and then they've souped it up with all this other stuff, and to try to make it super active and quicker to work. Because in nature, healing is slower because, or it seems slower. But if you live that way all the time, it's constantly building your immune system up, which is really your inner doctor, which really keeps you healthy naturally all the time. So you don't really have to think of taking medication all the time, because you're always drinking, good teas, or you're drinking healthy things, and you're not eating certain foods with chemicals, and you're more conscientious about taking care of yourself. And that's part of loving yourself too. That's part of the inner journey of unconditionally loving yourself, is stopping, taking this stuff that we're so addicted to. Have you ever tried to quit doing sugar? It's worse than trying to get off of heroin. Seriously, it is that highly addictive. But they won't tell you that. Most companies that live off of, it's sad, because they're a multi-billion-dollar, corporation that makes money off of sugar. But they're not going to tell white sugar. They're not going to tell you how addictive it is. We've been served it since we were babies. But so there's a lot of stuff we're weaning away from, and we're learning about, and it's all going to shift and change. And I'm sure there's going to be, certain corporations out there that aren't going to like, this information, but it doesn't mean they can't still stay in a line of prosperity by offering, something more healthier, by raising their own consciousness, raising their own and frequency, and being able to develop new food products that are better for us. I know I'm just reading about how they're making laboratory meat or something. I haven't looked into it. I just heard it briefly. I just kind of was like, okay. I don't think it's anything I would be interested in, but if you're going to eat meat, for me, and I know my vegan friends are going to have a fit, but I don't think you can really tell anybody what to eat either. That's another thing. You just can't point fingers. Yeah, it's a happier planet if we were all vegans, I'm sure. I'm not arguing with that at all. But you can't take the pacifier away from the baby, And actually, I am at the Akashic Records. I've been to the Akashic Records, and some people they have to have meat. But to me, if you need to eat meat, to eat it organically, don't have hormones pushed into it, process it naturally, halal or kosher, just eat it in the most purest form you can eat it is basically it, and to be grateful and thankful to the animal. But basically, if you can't, if you can get off of meat, then or if you feel led to quit eating meat, then quit eating meat. But I'm not going to condemn people. I mean, it's just like condemning people to quit smoking pot, condemn people to quit doing this or quit doing that. It's none of my business. My business is my own life. My business is my own journey. It's my own walk. What am I doing to myself? What am I doing to help me? Because I can't change anyone else, and I can't push my beliefs on anyone else. The only thing that is universal in this journey is loving one another unconditionally. That's what will heal this world. That foundation, and then everything else is basically let Source take over. Because once we love one another, once we bring in love, what is love? Love is God, what you call God. Love is what makes the world go round. It heals everything. It's more powerful than you know. A lot of people think it's weak, and that it's more powerful to go out there and punch someone in the face, and it's more powerful to go blow up some country, but you have no idea how powerful love is. It's more powerful than an atom bomb, seriously. And it can blow up things in a very positive way if we're open to it and don't have fear. So basically, I just kind of wanted to say that about drugs, because I think a lot of people that are just coming online or just starting to hear that have never, smoked pot, or they haven't been brought up in that culture, they're all a bunch of, old hippies that are trying to, do this thing, and it's not like that at all. Nature goes way, way back before the hippie stages, I'm going to tell you that, natural drugs helps expand the mind. It doesn't dumb down the mind like some of the pharmaceutical drugs just numb you out to where you're not thinking anymore. Where some of the natural, drugs that come through nature, like ayahuasca, which is not something I would say is a commercial or let's go party type of drug. It's something to take very serious. It's a very serious medication that you can, connect with Source. And I always highly suggest people do their homework and really do a lot of inner cleansing and make sure, before you just do it, you just don't do it just to do it to feel good. You do it, because it is a journey within a journey. And you can get so much out of it, or you can not. So, and there are special places you can go to do, an ayahuasca journey, which is really cool, but I don't suggest that everybody has to do it that way. My journey was to prove that you can not have drugs in the end, or that you don't really need drugs. For those that are coming in that don't want to have to deal with drugs, I don't do any more drugs at all. My own meditation, my own prayer time, I can get to where I need to go with my frequency and communicating with Source and being in alignment without doing anything. It's just like feeling like you're stoned, though. It really is. It's a very close, it's very similar, So when you really get close to Source, you almost go into a zone because it's not of this world. So, but you don't need drugs and that was my main thing, is like, is this really drug related? I mean, is this, when I first started going through this, I was like, do we need this stuff to get there? And I knew in the deepest part of my heart that it was a realm that was available for all of us to reach without having to take something. Now, taking stuff is helpful. I'm not going to say don't do it. I'm not going to say do it. I'm going to say follow your own inner guidance. And if it works for you, then do it. I mean, I did it until I didn't have to do it anymore, And now when I smoke, it kind of brings me down. It doesn't bring me down in the sense of makes me not aligned. I'm just not as high as I am without it. So I just choose not to do it. But it's not that I'll say I'll never smoke pot again or never do cannabis again. It's just I don't have a need for it like I used to maintain my alignment. So it's been pretty cool, to be able to break through these things. So that's a word just for people that are like, well, and their judgment on it is, that people that are talking about this and or that are elevating, it's all drug related, and it's not. It's really not. So, and I'm a testimony to that because you can get there without drugs totally. You just have to do the inner work. You have to go within and you have to heal. And you have to heal from all the pain we've gone through, and the pain is deep. It can go back into childhood, it can go back into other lifetimes, it can go, and only only you will know. So there are people out there that can help you, and yeah, there is a fine line of where you feel a little like, little off your rocker, but you break through that and realize there's stability. There is stability once you come to terms in your own heart, how beautiful and how real Source is, and how stable it is. It's not something that makes you crazy at all. It's, once you break through the matrix and you break through the lies, you realize how very stable it is, and that everything here is crazy and everything there is normal, so to speak. But anyways, so that's all I've got to say right now. But if you have any questions, direct questions that I'm not answering, I know a lot of times I'm just getting on and repeating myself because I know there's new people coming online all the time. So I'm trying to touch, make sure, because when you first come online is really when you need the most, guidance, so to speak. Not to take control or try to control the narrative at all, but just to let people know, no, you're not going crazy, and yeah, you'll be okay, and yeah, you'll get through this. So that's what I'm here for, is for stability, just a voice. I do channel, and everybody can channel, once you align, you can channel. There's a lot of people out there. I do want to speak that I've been, listening. There's a lot of people that they're really speaking on a lot of fear and a lot of darkness. There's a lot of people out there speaking a lot about, demonic entities and black magic and that kind of thing. And I think the less we stay away from that, the less we'll create of it. There was one girl out there that was talking about a dream she had that was very demonic and very disturbing, and then even in her own talk she was saying she didn't understand it all, but everybody needs to be careful, and that's where you really have to be careful. If you don't understand it, you shouldn't speak about it, because there's other people listening that are going to take that on, and then they're going to drum up in their mind, because our imagination is everything right now. If you can imagine something good and beautiful, that's a good thing. But if you can imagine something evil and wrong, that's another thing. So what are you creating for yourself, Are you wanting to create something good and with blessings and with happiness and joy and prosperity, abundance, with love? Or do you want to create something dark? Because really, anything that's out there that shows itself as being anything dark or anything that you label as evil has no hold on you. They absolutely, there's nothing anything can do to you unless you allow it. It has to be your own free will. You have to open yourself up to it. And that's why the less you talk about it, the better. Because if you open yourself up to it, of course, it can take you over. If you start really just letting that be a priority in your life, where you're thinking about that all the time. So again, I remember, I think there's a place where it says, think upon the things that are pleasing, that bring you joy. Think upon the things that are are of goodness. Those are the things to think about. Don't think about the things that are going wrong, because in this energy, it's gonna expand. So whatever you think about, it's gonna expand. So if you think about what's wrong, it's gonna expand. If you think about what's good, it's gonna expand, and that's gonna get more so as time goes on. The energy is gonna really shift. So be really careful about what you're thinking about, because whatever you think about is going to expand, and it's going to be in your life. So, I know there's, talk about people, shooting out, the evil eye, and being, trying to be ugly towards other people, jealous towards other people, mad at other people, whatever. Well, what's going to happen is, it's going to come back on you. Whatever you try to do to hurt someone else, it's not going to hurt that person that you intended it for. It's going to come back and ricochet back into your own life. So be really careful and mindful about what you're thinking about, what you're doing, because it's going to ricochet. And it's not going to hurt anyone but you. So be very careful. Be mindful of good things, because there's so many good things out here, so many beautiful things to be thinking about, so many positive things to be thinking about. Anyways, I think that's all I have to say. You don't have to be suffering. People think that it's suffering and then you'll be suffering more. But if you think, hey, this is gonna pass quickly, it's gonna pass quickly. So it's just whatever your mindset is, okay? I know people think that, I make it, I get on here and I make it, sound like it's so easy because I've gotten through so much, but it was a battle for me to get through. You have no idea my path. I have a book, and you can read my book. It's an ebook online, and it's on my page. It's on my my Twitter, and it's also on, or not Twitter, it's on X, since I guess he changed that, and it's also on Instagram. So if you're interested, you can just go online and get it, and then you can see the battles I've gone through. My life has not been easy, and I've been doing this since I was born. So yeah, it's been a journey. So what I speak from is experience, but it's not, that's why I do have compassion for what you're going through, but what you're going to go through is going to be easy compared to what I went through. Because like I said, every time somebody goes through this portal, it gets bigger and it gets easier for the next wave of people coming on. So anyways, humanity's going to be beautiful. It's going to be beautiful for the next generation. It's going to be better. It's going to be more prosperous. It's going to be more abundant, and it's less drama. And maybe people like their drama. Maybe they're going to be missing their drama. We can create other drama, good drama. We can create fun things and things that can make us laugh, and there's a lot of good drama out there we can create that will be entertaining for the world and for ourselves. So I got all kinds of drama in my life that are fun. I laugh at everything anymore, because it's just, what are you going to do next? Source is always up to something. Source is having a fun time. Source is really enjoying all this, because Source loves everyone so much. They're honking their horn. Namaste. I love you all so much. Be safe, be strong, and I'll talk to you soon.